Oh, hey, you're up. Oh, hey, you're up.
Hit that flying pajama or what?
Oh, hey, you're up.
You're
Oh,
gonna
hey,
die.
you're up.
Again
Hit that flying pajama
and
or
again
what?
Oh, hey,
and
you're up.
again.
Oh, hey, you're up.
Hit that flying pajama or what?
Oh, hey, you're up. Oh, hey, you're up.
Who's Bill Murray?
Oh, hey, you're up. I'm not sure if you remember my name or not. You were pretty wasted last night. I'm Bubbawheat, and you're listening to my podcast, It's Time to Rewind, where we're in the death days of autumn, covering the Happy Death Day movies one loop at a time. Today, we're discussing the 12th and final loop, or technically the post-loop day, and the first Happy Death Day movie that starts at 89 minutes and 2 seconds, with Tree raking up to a prank from Carter, and ends at the end of the movie. And joining me today is fellow time loop aficionado, Robert E.G. Black. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Again.
Yeah, yeah, it's good to have you back. It's this has been a fun season, and
Yeah.
it feels kind of crazy that I'm already finishing the first movie, and I'm still like only halfway done with the season. I've still got a full movie to go, and the next one also has exactly 12 loops. So I'm interested to get into like a lot of the I call it mirroring that the sequel does.
Yeah.
But today we're here to talk about the ending of the first movie and kind of give everyone a wrap up of this movie as well, because this is a fairly short scene. It's just really a couple minutes long before it gets into the credits. But before we get into that, I I it feels kind of weird to ask what's your history with this movie, because I feel like that is a very long conversation. But no, what like where do you remember, like, kind of where into the your time loop journey did you kind of get to this movie?
Yes, actually, because I knew I had written about it in a blog, so I went back and checked. Uh there was some gaps in my blog 4 years, so this was during year 3, which actually was 4 years after it started. Um so the movie came out on the 13th. I saw the movie on the 18th and the 20th, so I could write about it twice. And saw it in the theater. And then the second movie, I guess, well, I might be a guest the rest of the season. Who knows? I actually saw that one at a test screening before it
Oh,
came out
nice.
and complained about a couple things in it, and they're still in there. There's a couple moments in that movie I don't like. This one I
Yeah,
love, like the whole thing, though.
yeah, like you kind of just said it, but what's your kind of brief overall thoughts about this first movie?
I mean, I love it. It came out, what, 8 years ago, and I've watched it more times than that. I don't know how many times exactly.
Yeah, it's funny. I only just completed a second, start to finish watch through last
Oh,
night. I watched it for the first time over the summer, after it kind of won the poll for being this season of the show.
yeah.
And then I've watched it cut up a few times, obviously, as I record each episode. But then, before this, I thought this was a perfect time to watch it start to finish again, and it's still a lot of fun. And there were definitely a few like little moments that I noticed that I was like, oh, I wish I had talked about that, because they're just some little fun, especially like kind of my favorite character is Danielle, because
Yeah.
Rachel Lynn Matthews does just such a good job at being the sorority house bitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's kind of awful sometimes.
But bef- let's go ahead and jump into today's loop, or post loop day, because this is the Tuesday the 19th.
Yeah.
And it does start off the same way that all the previous loops have started off, with Tree waking up in Ryan's bed, or I guess she's sleeping in Carter's
She's in
bed,
Carter's
and
bed. Yeah.
yeah, and Carter's sleeping in Ryan's bed. And we hear um the bells from the clock tower. And one very subtle clue, which is something that I've been bringing up, several times throughout the season. Once I um, heard it, is we don't hear the bad trombone music.
We do.
So
It's just really quiet. We don't hear it. I think
sure.
we might not hear it at the exact same time, but
I
someone does yell
I was
"shut up" again, I
listening.
think too. Or was you know what I
Yeah.
did? I think I clicked backward in my because I was watching it on this segment. I was watching on a copy of the movie, and I think I might have rewound to the previous loop at one point. So I might be wrong on that one.
Yeah, I was listening
I'll
for it,
trust
and
you on that one.
you don't hear it in this one, because it is the next day, so he
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing the trombone again
Although
in the second
spoilers,
one.
you'll hear it again in the second movie. Hey, you'll see the guy playing the horn actually.
Yeah, I also think it's funny because whenever I was watching it last night with subtitles, because the clips that I made, I don't have the subtitle track in there.
Hmm. Yeah.
But watching it with subtitles, it's listed as being saxophone music rather than trombone music, even though it's pretty clearly trombone. And, yeah, so this, this is Carter playing a prank. He's ducked under the desk again, and he calls Tree in order to trigger her ringtone, which she hasn't changed, so it's still her birthday ringtone
Yeah.
uh, that she had yesterday, which, you know, I'm I think, the couple people that I talked to think that it's most likely she drunkenly did that during the party the day before her birthday.
Well, don't they? She asked Lori if she did that, but I think Lori's answer doesn't quite confirm that she did.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I love this that Carter's playing a joke because he's a movie nerd.
Mhm.
Of course, he's gonna do this. If you're in a time loop, I'm gonna mess with your time loop.
Yes, and I love that this kind of gives a little bit more personality to Carter, because even though I do kinda love Carter as a character, like, whenever you take a step back, he is kind of just a generic good guy.
Right. He's really likable, but that's all he is.
Mhm.
So yeah, this does give him a little more nuance.
Yeah, and I love the chemistry that the 2 of them have during this. Like, as soon as Tree realizes that it's a prank and he says, "Yeah, it was me, I called you. It's Tuesday the 19th, you made it." And it's like, just his happiness of it makes me curious about what happened yesterday, because they did have, like,
Right.
basically the entire day for Tree to catch up Carter on what's been going on. So I
Yeah,
do
she
like
killed
that this.
Lori at like 9:20 in the morning, so
Mhm.
they had a whole day.
Yeah, because in all the previous loop, or in the majority of the previous loops, she dies at night, like
Right.
around 9:30 at night. And in this
I
one,
I was
Lori
actually that was one of the things that I still have never figured out a real explanation for is why so many things happen around 9:20 in
yeah.
this movie. Like even the opening shot of the movie, the bells are going off, but it is not 9 a.m. on that clock. It's 9:20. When she sees she's late for class, it's 9:23. Or no,
Well,
9:20. And when the power goes out, it's 9:23.
yeah. Well,
Right.
I mean, I imagine she wakes up at 9 a.m., and then it takes her 20 minutes to get
Yeah.
to her dorm room, or her sorority house bedroom.
I remember for my blog, I was looking up like birthdays of the writer, the director, seeing if 9:20 was someone's. And never got anything. Although Police Code 9:20 is for a missing adult, so
Mm.
I just went with that. Tree as an adult is missing.
But this is, really the first time that we get like reciprocal romantic feelings between Tree and Carter, because in all the previous loops, even after he's clued in, he's still kind of like an information giver.
Mm-hmm.
And their only previous kiss was, I think, like 2 loops ago, whenever
It was when they had the cupcake, right? Didn't they kiss? I know they were leaning
uh,
in like they were going to.
I think it cuts before the kiss on
Yeah.
that time, but she does give him a kiss during one of the lunch times.
Hmm.
Like, I think in the perfect loop, the quote unquote perfect loop where she does
Right.
everything right. Whenever Carter brings her bracelets, she kisses him then and says, "I'll see you later." And so this is really their second kiss. And again, they do kind of has it has the like sitcom-esque moment where they get interrupted right before the kiss with Ryan coming
Uh-huh.
in, and I love that we get just a little bit more of Ryan's personality where he's like, "I don't wanna sleep in the car again, it smells like Hot Pockets and feet."
He just wants clean underwear. It's a
Yeah,
great last line for a movie. I just want clean underwear.
yeah, and then they do get the kiss, and then camera zooms it into the sticker again, "Today is the first day of the rest of your life," which, again, feels like the thesis of the movie.
Yeah. There's also a cynical part of me where I'm like, well, that's always true, so that's not really time loop specific. Um,
But it's like with most time loop movies, true this is a day that's really changed Tree as a character because
yeah.
Tree on Tuesday the 19th is extremely different than Tree on Sunday the 17th.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this tree is not making out with someone else's well, not boyfriend, but guy she was interested in at a
Yeah.
party and getting so drunk she has to be dragged to someone else's dorm room.
Mhm. Yeah, the guy that she doesn't even remember making out with.
Hmm.
And then we get these these closing title sequence, which I'm not going to spend too much time. I believe it was animated by Greenhouse Graphics, and it's just a fun little like walkthrough with a bunch of pop up style birthday cards, which
Yeah.
I think it's great too because so much of them kind of has to do with a lot of the themes of the movie and in very
Uh-huh.
interesting ways too.
I love the whose credit is it? The DP's credit has like this three-part card that like flips the head, the body, and the legs separately.
Mhm.
And it has the
It's
killer
it's
in the
like a paper
mask.
doll.
Right. And
Yeah.
then it switches two of them so that now, even though the mask is still there, the bottom two are Laurie Scrubs standing in an elevator. But by the
Mhm.
time it switches to Laurie's head, it's switching the bottom to Tree's body and it arriving at the birthday party. And I'm like, it's interesting that it's like connecting Tree and Laurie very specifically in there.
Yeah, and we get the car hitting
Hmm.
the police officer and then
Yep.
going into the explosion, and then
And
we
a pop
have
up
Tree.
explosion. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have Tree with the paper doll clothes with all her outfits, which I talked about in that first
Yeah. On
episode.
the costume designer's credit.
Mhm.
And the casting credit is the killer and then a bunch of weapon options.
Yeah,
So yeah, they're pretty. These
uh,
cards are fun.
yeah, and I love that they include the bong and the birthday candle in there,
Well, yeah,
and,
and the last one is Tree behind the candles as if they're like bars on a jail cell,
yes.
which is a better executed visual than the usual Groundhog Day poster, I would say, of him trapped in the clock.
Yeah, I love how that ends that, and this just these are all just really fun. It's very bright. It's simple, but it kind of echoes the birthday card pop up
Hmm.
that's just briefly happened in one scene with the bingo baby face head
Yeah,
spinning.
and what did it say? Like
And
enjoy today because you want to have another one or something like that.
yeah, something like that. And it's you've got game and that game is bingo.
Yeah, the song going here is also kind of right on the nose with like it feels good for the first time in a long time to be me
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And then we get, the rest of the credits, which, I didn't really pay attention to the credits to see if there was anything fun digging in there. I don't think I usually do that. Uh, but that's the end of the movie.
Hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, this, like you said, I kind of love this movie start to finish. I'm really glad that this was the one that won the poll because I'm glad I finally got the excuse to watch this. I really enjoyed breaking it down into these 12 episodes. It has been a lot of fun, and I think it really holds up. And there's so much stuff in here that I think is, for most people, it's too subtle, but I really enjoy discovering some of these little Easter eggs that are thrown in that I don't think I would have ever noticed had I not broken the movie down this way.
Yeah, I know. Watching the movie again this week to review, one thing I loved is I think it's day 3 when Tree gets to her room and she's freaking out. Lori, who has a poisoned cupcake sitting there ready to kill her, shifts into like nurse mode and takes care of her.
Mhm.
Like she can't help but be a nurse and do her job. And she, even the last loop, she kind of does that before she pulls out the cupcake again. Is that she
Yeah.
has a nurse mode and also I'm gonna kill my roommate mode. And
Yeah,
one of these
I
goes
think it's
together.
it's so fun, like, especially the times whenever Tree's freaking out, and I think
Mhm.
also in the last loop where it's like Tree's just freaking out and wanting to leave, and then Lori just brings out the cupcake. It's like
Mhm.
this, read the room, Lori. This is not, if it wasn't poison, this is not the time to bring out the cupcake. But even though it is poison, it's like this is so this is such a weird time. It's like, okay, here's your cupcake. It's time to die. And one other thing that I did want to circle back around because it was something that I started asking kind of early in this season about who the killer was in each loop.
Yeah.
And then you kind of commented on the Facebook post about it, where you thought that it was Lori pretty much every time where we don't see
Yeah,
Toombs's
I don't
face.
think Toombs ever leaves the hospital in the movie. I think the only
Mm,
people he kills is the police officer or the security guard, whatever he is. And then that one loop where where Tree is there, he kills the nurse and Carter.
yeah.
But
And
um
that's and that time he takes the mask off, so we see that
yeah.
it
I think
was
otherwise it's
Toombs in
Lori
that loop.
because she was gonna
Mm.
use the cupcake and probably thought she'd just get away with it. And
Yeah,
then she just has to resort to murder. Or well,
yeah.
that's murder also, but to more direct murder.
And I think even the one before, I think the only potential, um, thing that makes it iffy is the fact that the killer kills Gregory. And if that's Lori, I mean, I could still see her killing
Yeah,
Gregory
Lori
out of
killing Gregory
spite,
makes sense, especially if
but
he's
I could,
around Tree at the time.
yeah.
So one of the best line deliveries is when Tree finds that out. She's like, "Oh, it's over a guy."
Yeah, and there's also like a couple interesting things. Like I've talked about the fact that the two times that we do see Tombs, he and the movie also for some reason like doesn't show Laurie's shoes until the very end, which that was something
Mm,
that I was looking for whenever I was kind of sussing it out. But they are wearing the exact same shoes.
huh?
So whenever you see like in the hospital one where it's probably Lori, the because she does still use the candle, the birthday candle, which
Yeah.
that would be something that Toombs would have no idea about.
Also, Toombs, uh, as soon as he gets out in the hallway, removes the mask, whereas
Right.
Lori keeps the mask on.
And whenever and then in the next loop, he doesn't even put the mask on because
Exactly.
Tree goes straight for him.
My thing with Tombs is I wonder if, and maybe it came up with Scott Lobdell. I know you have an interview coming up with him. Uh, if at some point in the drafting, this was an impression I got the first time I saw the movie, and it is stuck with me, is that Toombs killed Tree's mother.
Hmm.
Because when Tree sees the news story, she says, he's been here the whole time. And it feels like more familiar than the person who's killing me has been here the whole time. Because obviously the killer's there the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Although
okay, so the person who killed her mother is in the hospital and got out. Okay, I get the plot now. And then that wasn't the plot. I'm like, but it would have been so, I don't know if it would have been as good, but it feels like that would be a nice, neat little package
it
if
would be
everything tied
interesting, but
together.
they would have to have um maybe if Tree and her parents lived in Arizona, because that's where Toombs is from, because they do mention that uh,
Mm,
he's potentially had a dozen other is potentially connected to a dozen other murders in Arizona.
huh.
That's just like a brief like text blurb on the news report that kind of goes by quickly. And I
Yeah, the
don't
news
think I
reports are
talked
so
about in
brief.
that loop. Yeah, but I did catch that whenever I was watching it last night.
Nice.
I guess that would make sense. Arizona to Louisiana would be about 4 states, because they do mention that it was a 4-state car chase.
Which is funny because that would include Texas, which is really wide at that latitude.
And then, one other thing that I wanted to talk about is the alternate ending.
Which I had not
Which,
seen until you sent it to
oh,
me.
interesting.
So that was cool.
Yeah, it was something that I think I believe somebody, I don't remember who. I saw it shared on Instagram within the past couple months,
Hmm.
where they showed just a brief clip of it. I think it might have been Jessica Roth, but I could be wrong. But somebody connected with the movie on Instagram shared just like a brief clip of the alternate ending, and then I did go back and watch it. It is on the Blu-ray. It's available on there to watch. And this was the original ending that was in the test screenings, and
Huh.
it is, it's Tree waking up in the hospital on Tuesday the 19th, and her dad and Carter are there, and they say, you made it just barely, and then, just really quickly, but I do want to kind of talk about it in a little bit more detail because I do have some questions about it other than the typical, test screening downer of an ending. But, they leave. The doctor says, you shouldn't have any pain medication in your condition. You're going to have to deal with pain for a little while. And she's like, okay. And then the doctor leaves. And then a nurse comes in and starts to give her pain medication, and she's like, It's for the pain." And then she takes her mask off, and it says, Tree says, I don't I'm not supposed to have any pain medication. And the nurse takes her mask off, and you realize that it's Gregory's wife, and she says,
I love her
"It's
line
not for
too. She's
your
like, not
pain,
your
it's for
pain,
mine."
Teresa. Mine.
And then we get this kind of like horror movie ending as it cuts to um the heart monitor with her heart beating faster and then flatlining, and then it zooms in, which it you can imagine that it would be zooming into credits.
Yeah. And I hope they would have fixed in post that the BPM number doesn't change. And it
Yeah.
was really annoying because I teach high schoolers, and it was at 6-7 beats per minute. I'm like, no, I don't need that again. Someone listening to this podcast years from now is going to be like, what does that even mean? Nothing. But briefly, it was a thing.
Well, who knows if it'll be briefly or if it'll somehow
Right.
manage to
It
stick
might
around for
last. Yeah.
ages. But what was your thoughts about the ending? Because I have thoughts.
I the actual ending with the nurse, or with I say nurse, but
Stephanie.
it's so obviously her. Like as soon as she
Mhm.
comes in, I'm like, oh, it's Gregor's wife. But I love the dialogue before she comes in with like Carter. Like she's tells Carter, "You owe me a date," and he's he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah." He loves that idea. And the doctor's like, "Was it my concern is anything I'd prescribe could be dangerous. You might have to put up with some pain for a day. Can you do that?" She says, "I can handle one day. Believe me." Like it's so like on the nose dialogue, but that's what you need at the end of the scene. Just like the real movie has, the Groundhog Day conversation just before the end of the movie.
Yeah, I definitely love all the dialogue, but I do have a lot of problems just with so much of it. So much of the other stuff that's in there.
Yeah.
Like I'm guessing that the implication is that Tree passed out from her accumulated injuries from all the
Yeah.
previous time loops.
And has just been in the hospital since yesterday morning, which actually I guess gives us less of a gap than the real movie does, because we have to just wonder what she did all day.
Mhm.
And now at least,
And
okay, she was unconscious in the hospital. I can live with that.
yeah, so that makes sense. But then that introduces the question of why Carter would be there, because Carter doesn't have a connection to Tree. She was just a
Right. She left immediately yesterday morning. Although she was very nice to him. But yeah, I don't know why he'd be. That's a good point. No, I was gonna say unless he's the one who got her to the hospital, but he wasn't at her dorm room. the
Yeah,
sorority. He was like, "Let's
exactly.
go
It,
on."
it it made sense. It made sense in the first hospital scene because she passed out in his room, and so
Exactly.
he
Yeah.
knew that she had passed out and was concerned about her well-being. But in this one,
Which
she just left, and then he would have, probably heard about it on the news. But it's like,
you
oh,
said this was
that girl that,
the original
yeah,
ending
the
at test
original ending.
screenings. I'm
Yes.
knowing how test screenings work because I've been to a bunch of them in here in LA. I'm guessing someone asked that question. It's like, why is Carter there?
Yeah,
And
because
they realized
in
they
the
didn't want
prank ending, they had the entire day together,
exactly.
but in this one, they did not have anything. And the other thing is, I think it's weird that the doctor says, "You shouldn't have painkillers in your condition,"
Right.
because
There are very few conditions where that is true.
yes, that feels like very loaded dialogue, and it's most of the time when a doctor in a movie or TV show uses those words, it means that the character is pregnant.
Mm, I didn't think about that one. I was trying to think of like better version of the dialogue is maybe you can't have any more right now or something, and so it's just a timing thing where she's already had too much. But
Yeah,
that's
I'm
interesting.
guessing that they mean that, you're so close to death that if we give you any pain medication, it might kill you.
Yeah, it might shut down
But
everything.
but yeah, and I'm kinda surprised that you didn't, connect to the pregnancy thing. Maybe I just watch a lot more teen stuff than you do, but, like, that's my my thought is that it's like, anytime I hear that, someone in your condition, I feel
Right.
like 90% of the time that's the condition is pregnancy.
Yeah, actually I'm surprised I didn't catch that. I think they don't use it that in movies anymore. Maybe that phrase. So I
Yeah,
didn't
maybe
think
it's,
about it in a long time.
it's like a '50s kinda
Right.
thing. Or because they couldn't say pregnancy, so they have to they have to cloak it in dialogue. Someone
Now,
in your
you
condition.
said you hadn't watched this movie until it was voted for this season. Have you watched the second one at this point?
Yeah. Yeah, I did
Okay.
I did, like, a back to back, I watched both of them kinda within a couple
'Cause
days of each
talking
other.
about the wife being a murderer here could be, a spoiler for part of that one.
Yeah, and, yeah, but, test audiences just hated it because they thought it was, like, such a downer ending. It's like she survived only to die at the very
Now,
end.
if the flat line, like, zoom in, cut to her waking up again, that could have worked, I think. But just zooming into the flat line and then I presume credits would run. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's not it. That's this movie needs a happy ending because it's not just a slasher film; it's a time loop movie.
Yeah,
Time loop movie
and
either
that
needs to end
was
with the loop still going or happy.
and just
Not
like kind of without fully going into it, whenever I talked to Scott Lobdell, his implication was like his idea of this ending was that people would come away with it thinking, here we go again,
hmm
which I think that's could be done. And, I'll let him, explain it better than me. I won't try to,
Yeah, yeah,
explain it here. Uh, for that, I'll let him do that in just a couple episodes time. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the end of this movie. Like, do you have kind of any final thoughts about the the movie as a whole and how it ranks in the time loop pantheon? Because
it
I always
is.
think it's
From
interesting having you on as a
Yeah,
guest because, I feel like we're both kind of steeped into time loop media, but in different
yes,
ways because
yeah,
well, in different ways, but in the same ways at the same time, because
exactly.
I know you also tend to go deep into the any of the time loop movies, especially the ones that you enjoy. You'll watch them
hmm
multiple times, where I am kind of slowly going through them. Like I haven't watched a ton of them. Like I I wait until I'm going to cover them in depth before I
Right, which
get
is
to them.
nice. I like that approach
Mhm.
because then they're new. For me, this one is it's definitely high up there. I don't think I've made a ranked list or anything, but I have loved slasher films basically since I was familiar with films. Like Halloween, seeing Halloween is one of the first memories I've got of movies when I was like 5. So slasher films have always been something I love. And then 4 years before this movie comes out, my real obsession with time loop things gets going. And so when this comes, it's like a perfect storm of slasher and time loop, and it's funny. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I kind of love this movie. The sequel has some problems, but it's also fun.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I'm curious to get into the second one. I think my prediction is as I dig into the second movie, I will still find things to appreciate more, but I also think that I will uncover a lot more of the faults of
Hmm.
the second movie as I'm digging into it, where I don't think I'll see that as much in this one. And it does change writers as well to a certain extent because Scott Lobdell wrote this one and I believe the director Christopher Landon, I think he maybe did some uncredited, maybe not rewrites, but as the director, he had
Yeah.
the ability to kind of shape things and change things here and there to add his own vision into it. And then he's credited as the writer on the second one, so he kind of took over and took it in a different direction, but also did a lot of things to I keep talking about how the second one mirrors the first one in a lot of
Hmm.
ways, which
While
I
switching
do.
genres.
Yeah, which I do enjoy, but I can see how some people wouldn't like that as much. It feels like a copy rather than an homage, depending on how you feel about
Mm. Yeah, I wish. I I know they've announced they might still be making the third one,
it. Mhm.
but I imagine that one's going to be even more different in a way that makes the whole trilogy feel both really weird and maybe really good. I don't know until that one comes out.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has kind of a wheelhouse, or
Yeah.
I feel like he's leaning into a wheelhouse. I don't have like I know he went on to do Freaky, which is
Hmm.
another like it's
A
another
cross
like
genre thing, slasher
yeah.
mixed with body switching.
Yeah, exactly, and still kinda having the horror comedy angle
Yep.
altogether, which I think it's interesting, and I'm curious, like, is there can you think of another, like, type of, uh, movie subgenre that could be melded into
Well,
a,
I
horror
imagine
movie?
with the like post credit scene in the second one, it's just going straight science fiction even more than the sequel. But I hope there's something else tacked on. Yeah, because like it's slasher time loop, sci-fi time loop, and then even though like as a time loop, what word you use, aficionado, as you introduced me, like you have your Connors loop, like the what this movie is. You have to
Mhm.
be a better person by the end. She didn't really have to be, which is interesting. That wasn't what solved the loop, but she did have to be because that's the only way she can actually figure out who wants her dead is by not being a person who has a list of suspects available. If you can write a list of suspects that might want you dead, you are a problem.
Yeah, and
Um,
and and again, that's one of my favorites, my
yeah,
favorite little moments in the movie whenever she's like, um, well, Danielle, uh, Gregory, his wife,
it's like
the
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 barista
the
I spit
girl,
on
the
last
little
week.
girl from TJ Maxx, the Uber driver that I spit on.
Um, I'm trying to think because then you have like science fiction time loops, obviously, where the whole plot is about stopping the time loop.
Mhm.
And there's usually some sort of science fiction machine or whatever that does it.
Yeah, it's some external force that's causing the time loop that the characters have
The
to
only one I could think of
stop.
as a third one is more of like the existential thing where it doesn't end, something like 1201 or even did you cover the Twilight Zone thing? No,
Yeah,
you haven't covered the No,
yeah,
I mean
Death
the
Ship,
new one. What's it called? Try Try?
um, yeah, try.
Okay. Like Try Try where it's like it's very bleak and dark. And I think
Mhm.
it's hard to do that as a comedy and a more like existential loop. So I don't know what the third type of time loop is. So I don't know where
Or
they
even
can
I
go
was thinking,
particularly different.
um, go moving away from the 3rd Happy Death Day movie, but, if he was gonna do, like, another movie, like, almost like a, a stylistic trilogy,
Mm.
combining Happy Death Day with Freaky, like, what would be another, um,
Oh,
like,
actually, that could
subgenre?
with their, we don't know how their machine works really. I mean, they give us some sort of Star
And I
Trek technical term explanations, but they could switch bodies, I guess, or something, which could
yeah,
add an extra.
and I did also hear that, or I read that, um, that the character in Freaky is like somehow technically a part of the Happy Death Day universe, at least, in the Happy Death Day wiki, which
Huh.
surprisingly there is one. Somebody added that character in there, which I'm not sure
Yeah.
how that fits, but it would be interesting. Like I'm trying to think of like maybe like the angel coming to Earth. That feels like that's another completely separate
Yeah.
subgenre
And
that
then you got to
was
go
popular in the
supernatural.
80s that could also an angel comes to Earth and is also a slasher movie somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it because I enjoy this one a lot. I enjoy the second one some, less so, but I still enjoy it. And so I'm looking forward to the third one, but I don't know
Yeah.
what they can do with it. That's
Yeah, I'm
necessarily
curious. I
different.
know that's the title that they announced is Happy Death Day to Us, so I imagine that it's, bringing
Us,
more characters into the
yeah, or
title.
it might just be the fact that more than just Tree is in the loop
Mhm.
because, well, I mean, given the setup at the end of the second one, that makes sense. But, well, I won't spoil the end of your season there, but that someone else is in the loop again. But if multiple people are, it could change the way it works as well.
Yeah, and, I think that's about all I have to say, about this movie.
Hmm.
It's been a fun ride, and the next 2 episodes on this feed are going to be interviews, for the listeners at home. Next week, I have an interview with Rob Mello, who played John Toombs. That's a lot of fun. He shares a couple fun stories, and then the week after that, will be an interview with Scott Lobdell, the writer, and he has a lot of great insight into the movie and what was changed and his story about the alternate ending and even some additional detail that he threw in which his idea for the sequel. There's a lot of
Mm,
interesting stuff that we talk about that's
nice.
I think it's a really great interview and I'm looking forward to the listeners to be able to hear it. But thank you so much for wrapping up the first movie, and again, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to getting into the second movie after this. Um, but why don't you take a moment and let people know where else you can be found online and what all your is going on in your neck of the woods.
Well, you can find me at Robert E.G. Black pretty much on any social media. But podcast wise, my current one is Groundhog Day Project, which comes out every other day. I've already recorded all but the final episode, and it will be keep coming out until Groundhog Day 2026. And then I don't know what I'm doing. I hate editing podcasts, and so I kind of never want to do that again. I'm tempted to go back to doing YouTube, like just movie reviews. I don't know. Guest spots like this, I will still do because I love talking about movies and obsessing about them. So I don't know, but you can find all of my past podcasts because I've been doing it for 7 years at lemmingdrops.com. That's lemming like the little furry animal, not the fruit.
And as always, I am Bubbawheat, and you can find me on all social media where I'm at Bubbawheat. These days, I'm most active on Threads. If you want to keep up what I'm doing outside of time loops, that's the best place to look. We also have a Facebook group. It's Time to Rewind, a time loop group, and you can join that to discuss the episodes as they come out and also be aware of what's coming up in the future of this podcast and also some of the other projects that I'm doing. One of my most recent new projects is I've been doing an oral history of movies by minutes, where I've been kind of going back to the beginning of this subgenre of podcasts and talking to the people that really helped create what it is. I talked to Alex Robinson from Star Wars Minutes, which was it wasn't the very first, but it was the first one it was the second one and the first one that really got big and the one that really inspired most of the rest of them. I talked to Darren Husted, which was kind of the first one after Star Wars Minute, and he's done many. And I think by the time this comes out, I will also have my talk with two of the guys from Goodfellas Minute, and I'm kind of going through chronologically from the people that started it, and at some point I'll probably start skipping some and just kind of going to some of the heavy hitters that have been a big part of the community. But I'm hoping to continue that. So that has no set schedule. It's just when I get around to talking to the people. But I'm trying to at least get one a month, if not a little bit more. So keep an eye out for those as they come out. And so until next time.
I'm kidding. It was me. I just called your phone.
What?
It's Tuesday the 19th. You made it.